Today I want to talk about something from who is currently my favorite indie developer, Supergiant Games. Supergiant were founded in 2009 and currently have 3 finished titles under their belts. These titles include Bastion, Transistor, and Pyre. But today we aren't here to talk about their finished products. I want to talk about their early access title, Hades, which I currently believe is already a masterclass within the roguelike genre. One of the special things the Supergiant have done with Hades versus other roguelikes is give players a ridiculous amount of control of how they can play the game and make it run. There is still a heavy amount of RNG within the game, but as some Jakies of the Nakey variety would say, it's kind of like they're handing you a tub of Legos with no directions and just saying, have at it. This all starts with picking your weapon for your run, which there are currently 6, and of the 6, we'll eventually have 4 variants. So right off the bat, you're going to have 24 different ways that you'll be able to influence a run through the game just by deciding what weapon you're going to use. Along with having to choose what variant of weapon that you want to use, there are also trinkets, or as they are called in Hades, keepsakes. These can have great effects on the buffs you may get throughout a run. They're your basic ones which affect what buffs you get from what gods. There's even one that gives you bonus HP. Or you could have a keepsake that if you clear a room without taking damage, you get a permanent damage increase for the rest of that run. So far, there are 23 different keepsakes, making it a grand total of 460 different ways that you can start a run so far, and this isn't even taking into account the Darkness Mirror, which also has a multitude of upgrades that may affect rarity of buffs, or your starting HP, or what have you. Then there is the Pact of Punishment, which you unlock after your first clear of the game. Supergiant have always had an optional difficulty upgrade in their titles, which allow you to opt in for more difficulty, but you'll get bigger reward payouts. And the Pact of Punishment is just that for Hades. Now that we've touched on all the unique ways in which you are able to influence a run from before you even begin it, let's talk about how an actual run progresses currently. So, the combat of Hades isn't the most unique in the world. It is an isometric action title, very similar to Supergiant's other title, Bastion, actually. But it not being overtly unique is fine here due to the amount of polish on show. Each attack, dash, block, or spell cast feels so buttery smooth and has such satisfying oomph that it could make most individuals have a happy accident, like a small puppy seeing their owner when they first get home. I mentioned earlier that there are buffs that you may receive from gods of the Greek pantheon. Well, one of the decisions you need to make in a run is which gods you want to push for and what type of builds to put together with what the game hands you. Some examples could be a spell-based build with buffs from Dionysus and Zeus, which gives you an extremely potent cast, but you may not have the most powerful basic attacks. Or an example of what one of my favorites are, is you could do a very basic attack-centric Artemis build, which has high crit damage, and I honestly don't think I know anyone who isn't satisfied at a meaty crit-filled one-shot, but these are a couple examples of builds you could put together, as there are so many different ways to put a build together, and naturally some are better than others, but it is up to you to decide what builds you prefer. A run is going to have you making other choices that aren't just based on what buffs you want. You'll need to decide if you want to get upgraded versions for current buffs, getting higher base HP, or if you want to stack gold for shop. Something to note that if you are stacking gold for shops, you are sacrificing your current power for the ability to gain more, or even just have more choices available to you. I for one have the tendency to lean towards more Lego pieces, i.e. the shop, but you may really just want to have that one small rectangular piece to fill in the hole just right. There's one more thing that I want to talk about regarding runs. There are currently 4 total floors with 4 main bosses, 3 of which have a different variant that may be accessed through the Pact of Punishment. I have a hunch that they are going to add in another final boss in the full release, but we aren't there just quite yet. Each floor has different traps that you may need to avoid or take advantage of in combat, because every trap that may damage you may also damage your enemies, which is extremely greatly appreciated because it gives you more damage output options at the start of a run. Now, lastly, there's the art and music. Supergiant are known for their use of striking watercolors and beautiful portraits for their characters, and Hades is no different in that. When I first played through Pyre, I didn't think there would be any way for them to top their character designs, and when I learned Hades was going to be about Greek mythology, I thought that it made limit them on some of their creativity. But it didn't even take me a full playthrough to think to myself that I wouldn't mind putting some of this art on my body, and I really do want to now. I don't think that I could have a higher endorsement for the art style than I'm willing to plaster it on me forever. Music is one of my favorite things in a game. It is a mood and tone setter, and when used properly, it can take a good moment and make it into an epic affair. This is also something that Supergiant have done so well throughout all of their games, and Darren Korb's music I feel is going to be timeless no matter what he puts out. These are truly some of the greatest OSTs of all time, and Hades is no different with the simple ballads such as Hymn to Zagreus, or any of the versions of Good Riddance, right to the combat tracks, some of which you've heard in this very video. And there we have it. Some of my thoughts on Supergiant's most recent title, and it's not even a finished product yet. It's currently already one of my favorite games of the year, and honestly it's going to be really hard for me to see anything overcoming it as my favorite title of the year. But this is a year I've been really anticipating with Persona 5 Royal coming out and Cyberpunk. But maybe this little indie god can overcome some actual gaming industry titans.